Hey, what's going on, guys? And today's video going to be doing the skinning for the springs and axles, and my dogs are barking in the background. That is so annoying. Hopefully they don't continue to bark. But I just got a new mic. Hopefully it sounds better. And yeah, let's get into this. So the first thing that you need is a bone, and to get a bone you come over here to the sun logo and the gear logo, and you click bones, and then you click here at a random spot that's not working. Come on. Alright, so I gotta close this program. Alright, so the first thing that you need is a bone. Finally it works. Alright, so you just need a bone. Position it wherever, and hit escape and hit delete to get rid of that second bone, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm not going to name it because I already have a bone right here, but what you need to do is you need to collapse it and reset the X form on it. But before you do that, you need to position it dead center of your axle. So your axle right here, you need to dead center it right there on the axle. So anyways, then you collapse and X-form it and whatnot. So get rid of this, and I apologize for going through it really fast, but this is the second time I've done it because I had the wrong microphone frequency the first time. Anyways, so now that we have the bone in place and whatnot, to get like the axle and the differential cover and all that, I'm just going to do the axle itself right here. So first off, I usually convert it to an editable poly to get rid of any prior collapsing, X-forming, or skinning on the object. And I just right clicked right there and went to convert to an editable poly. Then the next thing that I do is I center the pivot point by going over here to Hirachi, I think it is. It's the block with the 3 blocks attached to it, and go to effect pivot only and select center to object. And the reason I do that is so that later it won't look weird when it's doing its thing. And the pivot point is being mean to me right now, but whatever. Alright, so now what we're going to do is come over here to the hammer. We're going to collapse it. If you're doing multiple objects at one time, make sure that you have this multiple objects checkbox checked. Anyways, collapse it, and you're not going to reset the X form on the object that you're going to skin. You're going to come back over to the rainbow thing. If you want to unwrap UVW, you just open this list box here and scroll down to unwrap UVW. And I believe that I have a video on unwrapping stuff, but to show you again, you just click on this polygon and you click on the square right here, and then you click open UV editor. You go to mapping, normal mapping, copy these settings, click OK, exit out of that. Oh, you also select all the faces here by hitting Control A after you've selected the polygon. So Control A. Selects everything. So now you unselect polygon, but you leave that cube right there checked. If you don't leave the cube checked, it will undo the unwrapping that we just did. So then you click this drop down menu again, and you go down to skin, and then I'm just going to isolate that so that this is easier to find. You click add, and then you go through this list until you find the front bone or the rear bone, whichever side that you're working on. and then you need to go no further for objects that are going to be completely on the bone. So what I mean by that is that it's not going to be like the spring where it's an animated object. It's just going to be going directly with that bone and not in between two bones for animation. Anyway, so now we're going to do the springs. So for the springs, you'll be working with the front bone and the mid bone, which you're going to position in the transfer case / transmission region, or the rear bone, whatever you're working with. Anyways, so for this one, this is a 40 segment leaf spring, which means it has 20 segments on each side of the direct middle of the leaf spring. Alright, so for the leaf spring, I'm going to convert it to an edible poly, and then we're going to collapse it. By the way, you need to collapse and X-form all of the bones that you are going to be working with before you skin anything to them, otherwise the pivot points will be weird and you'll have off looking suspension, to put it lightly. Anyways, so you're going to do that and then come down to skin just like we did with the axle, and then you're going to add the mid bone and whatever bone you're working with, and then you're going to go to edit envelopes and check the vertices box, and then you're going to go to weight tool and hit Control A, which will collect, well, not collect, hit Control A, which will select all of the vertices. Alright, once you have done that, all of the vertices should be weighted to the front or rear bone, whatever you're working with. You want to select it over here, the bone that you're working with, and then select the number 1 right there. And then you're going to come down to the mid bone, and you're going to select the number 1 again, and you're going to make sure that this says 1.0 right there on that top one, not the bottom one, on this top one here. And then you're going to Alt click and drag the top 2 vertices right there, just like that, and then you're going to click the down arrow one time if you have a 40 segment leaf spring, and 2 times if you have a 20 segment leaf spring. I think in the video where I showed how to make a leaf spring, I did a 20 segment leaf spring, so you would click down twice, but since I have a 40 segment leaf spring, which looks a little bit better, I'm going to click down only 1 time. And that goes for each time that you do this. So then click down and set weight, and then you alt click the top 2 again, click down, set weight, alt click the top 2 again, click down, set weight, and you're just gonna repeat this system here until you get down to the bottom, all the way down to 0. And yeah, so if you did it correctly, you should be able to take the front or rear bone, whatever you're working with, drag it up and down, and it should animate properly. Now, leaf springs don't animate very well, so it doesn't look like a very good animation because they just don't animate well, and that is just how it is. I haven't worked with coil springs yet, but if I do in the future, I'll probably do a video on it, but I just haven't worked on them yet. But my next truck will be a coil spring vehicle, just because I am tired of how the way leaf springs animate. They just animate so horribly. Anyways, so that's how you do the leaf spring. And if you've done everything correctly, then everything should move correctly. Now, with shocks, what you're gonna do, and right here I have a IK bone set up. I don't know what IK stands for, but that's what everyone calls it, and that's what it is called in the XML file, which is your physics file, for lack of better words. So down here, all this stuff right here is going to be set to 1 on whatever your bottom bone is. So you can have just one bone in the rear, but since this is an IK bone setup, and later I'll probably make a video just on this, but for now this will have to do. You want the bottom of the shock to be skinned to the bottom bone, whether it is an IK bone that is set to where the pivot point is on the pivot point of the shock, or the mid bone for the axle, so in this case the rear bone. And then you want the middle part to be set at 0.5, which is 50% between the bottom bone and the top bone, and then of course the top at the top bone or mid bone, depending on your setup. Hopefully that makes sense, and this is the second time that I've done this, so again, sorry for going through it quickly. And anyways guys, hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. If you are stopping in for the first time, please subscribe. Take care, have a great day.